What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another great edition of this podcast that is called The Hit. I am your host, Logan Graffia. He is my co-host, my main man, Calvin Rhines. We're gonna get straight into it. Saints training camp. We're in it to like what 2 weeks, Calvin? I think it's like the second week, almost third week of training camp.
Yeah.
It it has been quite the storylines coming out of training camp. I mean, just yesterday we hear breaking news: Kiko Alonso retires just after one practice, which I found quite hilarious, but it is what it is. And then, of course, I've been telling you as I went to training camp Thursday, and I got to see with my own eyes that the hype about Paulson Adebo is real. Paulson Adebo looks fantastic. The defense, the one thing I can say is, I mean, I other reporters might disagree with me, but the one thing I can say is the defense looks stout. The defense looks like they're ready to roll. The offense, they do not. I know people might have a difference of opinion, and it's not just because of one player, because it's not. The whole offense as a whole does not look like it's ready. Yeah, and 7-on-7s, they look okay because they're not doing 11 on 11 and you could probably agree with this because you played ball. You play ball too, and I've been playing ball for a long time as well. In practice, the bullets are flying live, but it's not like real game. Like your coaches are not letting you take nobody to the ground. The quarterback, you can't tackle the quarterback. I mean, it's basically like going 70, 75% when you're in team drills, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Well, for us, that's 100%, but we do a thing called thud. So that means 100% until you get the ball carried and you just wrap them up and just don't take them down. Obviously, there's a 2 yard halo around the quarterback. Don't get near him. Don't cross his face. Don't put your hand up because if he throws the ball and hit your hand and you hit your helmet, broken hand. Like, nah. So, yeah, those guys are pretty safe.
I mean, 'cause no one is trying to kill each other in practice. Now, I say that, but we have pin and fighting people in practice, but that happens all the time at practices. I've gotten into fights with my teammates at practice before, and it meant nothing. But it's just, I say it doesn't matter. I know it does for some of these guys, but none of this stuff really matters. What matters is what's coming up this next weekend, our first preseason game. Now, it might just be preseason. Preseason is just mainly dress rehearsals for the regular season. That's point blank, period. There's no other way of explaining it. But I want to see how the number ones do in preseason if, of course, Dennis Allen's going to play the number ones. Now, don't really need to see Kamara, but give him like a series or two and then just yank him. Same goes. Ingram needs some run, definitely. Ingram needs some run so he can get his breath back, his conditioning back, because I just don't think he's going to be ready to carry the load if and when Kamara gets suspended. And then the defense looks ready to go right now. Ones, twos, even threes. Everyone on that depth chart on the defensive side, they're ready to go. So, offense, they need a lot of work in my opinion. I know people are seeing something totally different when they're at practice and then what I saw at practice. And all the footage I've seen and clips I've tried to study and decipher. But the offense, everything always looks great on paper. Am I right, Calvin? On
Yeah.
paper, this team looks probably like they could be a top five. No, not even top 10 offense. I'm not going to say top five yet until I actually see. They look like they could be a top 10 offense, but that's just on paper. What I've seen in practice is like, because I was just discussing it with my dad the other day. Is the defense that good, or is the offense just that bad? Because the defense has just been giving the offense fits in practice. Yes, people say, "Oh no, that's just only going to make them better. That's only going to make them better." But you still have to score the ball. If you, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, even Drew Brees scored against the '09 defense in practice, this and that, whoop de woo." But everyone scores at least sometimes in practice, Calvin. I
Well,
mean, is the
let
offense
me
that
let
bad
me
or is
let
the
me
defense
go
that good?
ahead. Let me go ahead and just from if the operation standpoint is the same as what we're doing in college. So there's a couple things I want to discuss with that. So like one with the offense being the way it is. Offense to me is a lot more meticulous than defense because on defense you have 11 guys and one goal is to get the ball, get the guy with the ball, stop the guy with the ball. It's pretty cut and paste. Like it's A and B. Like there's no, oh, I have to read this. If I do this with this route, if I'm getting this zone, if I'm getting this coverage, I gotta do this. Like quarterbacks have to be timed up correctly with receivers. Running backs have to know what's going on. Offensive line has to know where blitzes are coming from without blitzes being shown. And then when you get rid of a Teron Armstead, a guy who can help you with that, Cesar Reese is still young. Andres Pete is Andres Pete. He should be a vet at this point. You're gonna have some layover here. You're gonna have some learning curves, and that's okay for me. And then when you have completely different receiving core, your quarterback is coming off injury, there's gonna be some learning curve there, and you got to have that chemistry. Chemistry to me is way more important on offense than it is defense because, like I said, with defense, it's go get the guy with the ball. And on defense, if everyone just does their individual job, I mean, the same thing you said about offense, but more so defense. If everybody does their individual job, bad things won't happen. Wide receiver can start doing a scramble drill, and that'll be okay. Cornerbacks can't do scramble drills. They got to stick to their man, stick to their assignment. Ain't no way around that. Defensive line, the same thing. They got to stick their assignment. They can't just go jumping gaps wherever they feel like it. They have to do their assignment. So it's a little more stringent on defense. So the defense is going to be stout because it's basically the same thing. It's the same system. We've been having Dennis Allen since 2015, 2016. So it's going to be the same. Like they know what's up. And we got DBs who's been here for 5+ years. So that's going to be okay. The offense has just changed. They're young. So it's going to take them a little bit. But for operations standpoint, like what we do in fall camp, things are scripted. So the defense will have their certain periods where they'll run their certain plays, and the offense will just run some plays that are scripted for the defensive plays so the defense can go and make the stop. So that's why sometimes you might see interceptions, you might see stops, whatever. That's just because that's scripted. On the offensive side of the ball, if you see touchdowns, busted coverages, whatever, that's probably because some of those stuff are scripted. Because that's what we do. We have certain periods that are scripted, third down periods, first down periods that are scripted specifically for the offense. The defense just runs some base coverage, like day one coverage, and let offense do what they do. So I mean, it could be both. The offense is just young. I don't think necessarily bad because there's a lot of offenses I think are better than. The defense is going to be all right, but I mean. Paulson Debo, you're right on that. The man was a first-round pick projected before he decided to sit out. We can't forget that.
That's what I've been trying to tell people.
Right, we can't forget that. The guy is legit. All right, if Chauncey, actually plays, yeah, he's legit. We know this. Like the defense is legit. Alontae Taylor, I'm hearing great things coming out of him. I wasn't expecting as much greatness as I'm hearing from him, and that they like out of him. The offense, man, that is something to see. I am very curious about that. Pete Carmichael taking the reins completely. I'm wondering what would change because Sean Payton had a big hand in the offense. He's not here anymore, so I want to see what Pete Carmichael has going on. But you went there, man. Just tell me about some of the things that you've seen. I know we talk about Jameis all the time. I'm not really too concerned about Jameis. I think Jameis is gonna be all right. He's 8 years in the league. He's gonna be all right, whatever. What have you seen that excites you?
What I seen was when I went, Abram didn't get a ton of reps in team, or if at all. It was predominantly on special teams, but I like on special teams he was on punt return, but like as the guy going try to block the punt, and he was quite fast. I mean, he's already fast, so they're going to have trouble probably blocking him. And I'm happy that he's on special teams because a lot of people make their mark on special teams. I mean, hell, even Terrell Davis did that, and he's in the Hall of Fame now. So, but Dejon, I've seen good when I went. I've seen good things, but he didn't get a lot of run in the team, of course, too. But what I saw when I went, it just when I went, Demario didn't practice because it was his off day, and of course, CD didn't practice in the team drills because he's got that contract situation that he's working out. But when I went, everything looked pretty decent. I mean, the only thing that, like I was telling you and a smattering of others, that was worrying me was Jameis. I mean, he didn't look bad, but he didn't look good. And there's also in person when you actually see the limp, it's pretty bad. And I was telling my coworker when I was there, I'm like, I would not feel comfortable putting him out there in week one because it's like I told him, I'm like, look, when you're in defensive meeting rooms, they look for weaknesses in every player. If you're coming off of an injury, they're going to say, I'm not saying quote unquote, I'm not saying to hurt nobody, but hey, it's his left knee. Oh, it's his right knee. Oh, it's his right ankle. I mean, I've been in defensive meeting rooms where people have said that. I'm not gonna say where because I'm not gonna loud cap nobody, but I've been in defensive meeting rooms where it's like that. They're gonna go after him and test him out. So um I'm curious to see how that works out. But the one thing I was excited to see was Jarvis Landry. He's everything that you expect. He's Jarvis Landry, and he's making good catches. He caught a few nice passes from Andy Dalton in practice when I was there. And I want to also just say Andy Dalton does look really good too. And I know people gonna just say Andy Dalton's trash and all this stuff, but I'm really happy we have him. And I will stand on this point, and I was telling my coworker this. I'm like, look, if we had Andy Dalton last year in those 4 games instead of Trevor Simeon, we would have made the playoffs, and we probably would have went 4-0 in those games. I'm not even kidding, because Andy Dalton, he's been there before, and he's made the playoffs before as the Bengals quarterback, and he almost brought the Cowboys to the darn playoffs when Dak was out. So I was really excited for the defense. Honestly, I mean, I'm a defensive guy. I don't mean to be biased, but the defense, I was really excited to see. And everything that you're hearing about the defense is actually true. I saw it with my own eyes. It was nice. But what are some things? I know you weren't there, but overall, after you've seen the footage on Twitter, everything else, what are some things that actually maybe not so much excite you, but what worries you the most after hearing and seeing everything?
Um, I'm worried for Kiko Alonso because apparently that New Orleans Heat made him say, you know what, maybe I really don't want to do this. So he's out of there. I don't blame him though. I really don't. It's bad out there. But all jokes aside, um, Adam Troutman, I'm hearing good things coming out of him from camp, but I'm still a little worried. I don't know what the plan is for him because I thought last year he was supposed to be more involved in the passing game and he just wasn't. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. Um, I was worried about Michael Thomas because the fact that he's still rehabbing 2 years off of this injury is a little concerning. I don't know if they're just being extra super uber cautious with it. But I've seen them go against Paulson Debo and cook them, and Paulson Debo's been locking everybody down. So I'm like, hey, well, he just might be back. For real, for real. He might be maybe like 93%. He might not be all the way there, but he's going to be there by week one. I see that now. I'm worried about the defensive back chemistry right now, and I say that because Tyrann Mathieu missed a lot of time, and he's in a position that for the Saints defense, because if you haven't noticed, outside of Demario Davis, you have the safety in the back end helping call the plays. And I know for us, our safeties are the ones that get the DBs right because they see everything, whatever. They're like the middle linebackers of the safety. I mean, of the DBs. Tyrann Mathieu is a very intelligent player, but this is a new defense. It may not be like a new defense for him because he's been in everything, but you gotta play. Like you gotta be with these guys. Marshawn can hold it down, sure, but with Chauncey may not be playing, with Tyron missing that many snaps. I mean, I don't want there to be that famous thing that Saints are infamous for. Week 1 and 2, you're going to see busts. You're going to see receivers out of nowhere catch 60, 50, 40-yard touchdown passes with nobody within 15 yards of them. It happens every year for the Saints.
Every year.
Every year. So I'm just worried that losing Malcolm Jenkins, losing Marcus Williams, and then inserting Tyrann Mathieu, and then Chauncey taking the elevated role, but him not seem like he wants to play right now because of his contract. How is that going to affect what they do in the back end? Because we went a long way from 2015, 2016 days where we was busting coverages every single game. And I don't want to see that again. I mean, we got the players to not see that again, but I think that's, and of course Jameson's limp, but I mean people play with the limp anyway. So I mean, AK suspension and how Mark Ingram can handle that, I'm worried about that. But you know, as you know, the news broke. Kareem Hunt requested a trade. If I'm the Saints, I would definitely do my homework on that, look into that, because as we all know, Alvin Kamara and Kareem Hunt in 2017 was going back and forth at each other for offensive rookie of the year. So Kareem's been really decent, and because I like what you say, I don't really think Mark can handle first reps, just first, second, third down reps anymore. This isn't 2017 for him. So maybe you add Kareem Hunt, and then you have Mark Ingram start for you, or Kareem Hunt start for you if AK is suspended. And then I'm sure Mark Ingram is going to retire soon, maybe within the next 2 years. So if you can hold on to Kareem Hunt for a year or two, AK and Kareem Hunt, I mean, that's a hell of a running back tandem right there. So that's just some of the things that I've noticed.
Well, I mean, the thing with the Kareem Hunt, the Browns already came out and said they hear his trade request, but they're declining it. So I don't think they're going to be trading him anytime soon, or if at all. So
the Texans said the same thing about Deshaun Watson. No, we're not trading him. We're not trading him. And here they go.
Well,
trade him.
So, they got offered a Godfather offer, one that they can't refuse. So that's why they did it. They would have held on to him as long as they could if it wasn't for that big offer. And I'm sure they're quite happy that they did it at this point. But I wouldn't mind Kareem Hunt, but I'm still holding out my hopes for not only Abram Smith, but also Devon Gazebo. Happy that he's back. 2 running backs that I really like. I love the Gazebo out of college. You can ask any of my college buddies. I was hyping this guy up when we picked him up because I wanted us to draft him as just like I wanted us to draft Abram. So I hyped them both up. Hopefully they star in preseason, and then Tony Jones Jr. and Dwayne Washington can go bye-bye. Hate to sound like that, but yeah. Right now, people are going to hate me for this, and they already hate me for comparing this team to this other team. But what I saw with my own eyes and what I've been seeing on paper and how I compare the two, like almost everything is identical. I compare this Saints team to the Saints team from 2001, 2002. It's like almost a reincarnated version of it. I'm not even kidding. Because if you go back and look at those rosters, I mean, the offense back in 2001, 2002 was about a C plus, and the defense was A1. I mean, we always had kind of good defenses under Hazlitt. They weren't bad. The defenses under Hazlitt were better than the offense. That's how it always was. And right now, I'm seeing the defense is better than the offense right now too. And if you ask me what I thought, I'd say this team goes 9-8 again, just off that. Because I'm not a full believer in the DA P. Carmichael leadership yet. I got to see more. I want to see how it is in an actual regular season game. I'm excited for preseason, but that don't count. Not worried about things that don't count. So as of right now, I see 9-8 because I see them as the same team from 2002. They had Aaron, Deuce, Joe Horn, and all them boys over there. And then the defense that we had back then too was pretty darn good. Just like the defense that we have right now is pretty darn good. So if the offense plays how it did in 2002, we're not going nowhere. But from what I've been hearing, there's going to be a lot more shotgun oriented offense under Pete Carmichael because they want to do stuff that makes Jameis comfortable, which apparently is just throwing the ball deep every single play. And for the love of God, I hope he doesn't throw it in the triple coverage like he loves to do in most cases that I saw. If he doesn't force the ball, I will be very happy because the one thing that he still needs to work on that I saw in practice, short and medium. The deep ball, he's got that. I can't deny him that. But the short and medium routes that every quarterback has to be great at, still needs to work on that. And I don't think he has that yet. And that's the one thing that still worries me. But people are gonna like probably crucify me for comparing this team to 2002 Saints team, but I don't care. That's what I see.
You
Now I
know,
don't know. I don't
it's
know if you see
funny.
that.
I mean, it's funny you say that, right? With the short and deep or the short and medium and all that. Drew Brees was a short and medium guy. You know, that guy was pinpoint accurate. Like he ain't missing. He can hit a penny off of a tack. Like he's that accurate. But the deep balls, we know his arm strength wasn't always the best, but he still was pretty accurate. But, you know, sometimes receivers have to big stride because Deontay Hardy came out and training camp and said, "Hey, with James, I never have to break a stride." We've seen Deontay Hardy have to break his stride a little bit to catch a Drew Brees ball. So it's kind of like we flipped it a little bit. I'm cool with an air raid offense if that's what we're going to do. If we're going to do like a spread shotgun, like I'm cool with all that. Honestly, that's exciting to me. I know it's a risky offense, but we've been seeing the same Saints offense for 15 years. I mean, I'm excited to see something new, man. I like change. I like new things. And, you know, as far as the records for the team, what were we last year? 8-9?
No, we were
9-8?
9-8 last year, and that's
Okay,
what I have them
so
going this year too.
okay, so last year you said we was winning 6 games. I said we was winning 10. We got 9. So I'm gonna go again and say we're gonna win 10 or maybe even 11 if everything goes right. And I say that because this is the way that my brain works about it. So if you look at there's a metric that I use of off season of did we get better on paper. I know how we hate using the on paper stat, but on paper, right? You lose Marcus Williams. You go defense soccer. You lose Marcus Williams. You lose Malcolm Jenkins to retirement. That's 2 of your best players on defense. How do you replace that? You replace Marcus Williams with a guy who had better stats according to PFF in Marcus May. Yeah, he's a little older, but he had better stats. So to me, that's a plus. Okay, we upgraded. And then Malcolm Jenkins, you replace him with the best safety in football, arguably. According to Madden, the best safety in football, Tyrann Mathieu. And you got both of them for the low. So that is an absolute win. So to me, the defense got better. You lost Quan, but with the emergence of Pete and maybe of Zach Bond. I haven't heard much of Zach Bond, but you know, that's neither here nor there. Maybe he does something, who knows. But with Pete Werner and I always get the man's name, DeMarco Jackson, I think that's his name. If he is as good as advertised, because DeMarco Jackson seems like he's just a Quan Alexander prototype, which I'm completely fine with. So if you know, Quan Alexander, losing him, sure, that kind of hurts a little bit, but you replace him with a guy who moves just like him. So to me, the defense got better. Okay, the defense was already fantastic last year, so put that aside. Offense, what's the offense do? The offense adds Michael Thomas. They add Jarvis Landry. They lose Teron Armstead and replace him with rookie Trevor Penning. And then you add Chris Olave. So, and then, you know, you move Taysom to the tight end. So to me, I think the offense got better. I mean, you added 2 guys on the wide receiver spot who can impact games. 3. You add 3 receivers who can impact the game in various ways tremendously. Yes, the offensive line got worse, but we can kind of negate that a little bit just for the fact that we got these 3 new receivers, and that was a big point for us that we needed. So in my opinion, I don't necessarily say the offense got worse. I just think it reshuffled. And I might even go out and say that it got slightly better, just purely for the receiver standpoint. I don't know how big of a loss Teron Armstead, well, I know how big of a loss Teron Armstead is going to be, but I think the addition of those three receivers, man, I think that's going to really help us out there. So, with that being said, I think that both sides of the ball got better. You add Will Lutz back too, so special teams gets better too. So all the teams to me got better. So just mathematics in my head and just the way the universe works, if things got better, it should be better than last year. Won 9 games. We're going to win 10 this year. 10's better than 9. So that's what I got going on this year. That's my prediction for them.
I'll just say this. If we do squeak into the playoffs as a 9-win or a 10-win team, I don't think we're going to probably win it because I still don't trust Jameis at all. He's never played in a playoff. Now, he's never started in a playoff game. He had that one measly pass in that Bears game. And
Hey, that was the only touchdown of that game, too. The only passing touchdown of that game. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, I had to hear about that for a solid
week.
With
Drew Brees at the helm. So
I had to hear about that for a solid month. But I just don't fully trust the man as the quarterback. Maybe this year, and then after that, I mean, if we don't make it to the playoffs or if we squeak in and we get our tails whooped and Jameis just absolutely looks like a deer caught in headlights and I just think you gotta pull the plug. I mean, making the playoffs isn't the end goal. Winning in the playoffs and winning and going to the Super Bowl, that is the ultimate goal and the end goal. But just making a wild card and, then getting a first round exit, come on now, man. And that's why I'm saying, okay, maybe not even the 2002 team. I'll compare it to the 2004 team where we had Aaron Brooks, Deuce, and then you had the Joe Horn, Jerome Payton, and even Dante Stallworth. And that tight end, I think we had Boo Williams still. Kind of see that in this team because I think back in the – and then we also had Jim Haslett, a former DC head coach, and then we had Mike McCarthy as OC. I mean, will DA be another Jim Haslett? Will Pete Carmichael be like the Mike McCarthy when Mike McCarthy was here? I mean, when Mike McCarthy was here, I had to hear about it. It was the offense was horrible. The offensive play call was awful, but we lived through that, so we know. But not fully trusting the offense yet. I mean, I know what I saw at practice. It was okay, but week 1 against the Falcons is going to be the ultimate test. Ultimate test. But with that being said, we are out of time. Unfortunately, this has been another great edition of The Hit. And I am your man, Logan Graffia. He is Calvin Rons. We shall see you next time.